What was the most intense experience you have ever had at McDonald's? Once saw a woman become irate and throw 4 cheeseburgers at the kid behind the counter because she ordered double cheeseburgers and only got single cheeseburgers. At the time singles were 99 cents and doubles were $1. She kept screaming, "It's only a penny more, why would you even think I wanted the singles? How stupid do I look?" That woman was my mother. I worked at McDonald's in high school. Once there was this new guy, I forget his name, let's call him D. He apparently went to the same high school as me, but I never even saw him. He'd worked there for about a week and he sucked at his job. Always showed up high and had no respect for the managers, but that's McDonald's for ya. One day, during a busy rush at about 5 PM, I'm working in the kitchen and he is up front pouring coffee. I see this well-dressed white man in his 50s step behind the counter, which I noticed because I hate when customers do that. The man grabs D's attention. The man says, "Are you D?" D says yes. Next thing I know, the man reaches into his shirt and pulls out a badge on a necklace. He grabs D, spins him around, and cuffs him. Suddenly 4 or 5 other customers in the lobby reach into their own shirts and pull out badges. They had D surrounded and dragged his ass out. It was all over in less than a minute. Turns out he was a drug dealer, owned guns, and posted pictures of the guns online. The police called the day before and spoke to one of my managers about it, but she wasn't allowed to tell anyone. Needless to say, I never saw him again. I was on I-94 outside Detroit and stopped at McD for a snack. A female employee came from behind the counter and told me that 4 guys at a nearby table saw you driving in that fancy car and are going to rob you. I ran out the door. Went pretty late at night with 2 friends, but we were picking up for a big group. We ended up ordering about 20 McDoubles and 10 McChickens. The cashier was super flustered because they didn't have a lot of employees working at the time. The manager stepped in and started cranking out McDoubles at lightning speed. I've still never had a McDonald's order that efficient. Walked into a McDonald's in Detroit at the same time 2 other groups of customers came in. It was about 8 PM and far from closing time. The woman behind the counter looked at the clock, shook her head while throwing her hands up and yelled, "Hell motherfucking no. It's time to close and I'm out this bitch in 10 fucking minutes. Fuck these people." Me and my coworker promptly turned around and walked out. The other group stayed, we believe. I didn't wanna eat spit-filled McDoubles. Sitting in the drive-thru at a 24-hour McDonald's after coming back from the bars around 3 AM. It's summer, so sitting with the windows open and I'm in the passenger side. I see someone in the wing mirror coming out from the woods behind us. He approaches my window and asks for cash, and I tell him I don't carry any, so he asks for food. We'd already passed by the ordering speaker and were waiting to pick up, so I told him we couldn't and to try someone else farther back. The next part was a little weird because he then asks if I want to buy a knife. I shrug it off, say not really, and remind him that I don't have any cash. He flips the knife open, reaches through the window, and waves it in my face. I agree that it's pretty cool, but I still don't need a knife. He finally leaves and walks off down the street. It wasn't until I was sitting at home that I realized he may have been trying to mug me and very easily could have fucked me up. My wife and I were coming out of McDonald's and walking toward our car. As I approached it, my driver's side opened and an elderly lady climbed out holding 2 iced coffees. My wife and I just stared at her and she said, "Oops, I got in the wrong car." She then walked to her car 2 spaces away that looked nothing like my car. We busted up laughing at her and might have made her feel bad. It was just so funny. There was a girl in the median at the stoplight I was at with a sign that said hungry. I was hungry too. So I rolled down my window and told her to meet me at the McDonald's and as buy her lunch as it was just across the street. We met inside and she was very quiet. She ordered a meal and sat down. When our food came, I asked if it was alright if I sat with her and she said yes. I asked her a couple of get to know you type questions and she answered very normally, but she did mention several difficult things she was going through at the time. One of which was her recent ex-boyfriend. He was abusive and violent, so she had run away. I asked if she was worried he would find her, and she said no, because he couldn't put on shoes. This sounded odd to me, so I asked her to explain. She then went into this long explanation of the computers in our brains that control our actions and how the government puts them there to keep tabs on us. Someone had apparently hacked said boyfriend's computer and disabled his ability to put on shoes, which prevented him from leaving the house. This was also her explanation for why she couldn't find a job, since you can't go to work without shoes on. Apparently her pink fuzzy slipper sandals didn't bother the computer. I told her I didn't have a computer in my brain and she just stared out the window and sighed. That's what they want you to think. I had to leave for an appointment, so I bought her a McDonald's gift card for later and left. I worked at a McDonald's for 6 years. There was a lot. The one that stands out the most is the lady that came in wearing pajamas or something that looked like a freaking gorilla suit, asked for a water cup, filled it with pop, not even clear pop. When we told her she was gonna have to pay or hand it over, she started screaming at us, "Make me, bitch, make me." I was the manager, the only one there actually, so I'm trying to defuse, but it's not working. This cup is inching its way up above our heads. She's yelling at my pregnant employee to fight her, and I just decide fuck it, this is already bad, and grab the cup before she can throw it. Still got pop all over me, but probably better than having it thrown in my face. She flips the fuck out. More screaming. The bitch actually took her shoes off and threw them at us. It took 4 people to hold her down while we called the police. Oh god. This also happens to be one of my most embarrassing moments. One time I went in and ordered a dine-in meal. I took my tray of food over to my table and had to cross a wet floor area. I slipped like someone on the movies, completely backward, food flying over my head. The staff was nice enough to camp me a fresh meal. I start to take that tray over to the soda machine, slip again. Though this time I was able to save my food by sort of placing it on the counter as I was slipping. Couldn't save my pride, though. A woman looked at me trying to pull myself off my ass the second time and said, "Are you okay?" with a not very subtle tone of disgust. I think I was wearing new shoes and the soles were extra slick. But OMG. When I was 7 or 8, my dad and I were always at McDonald's getting the sundaes and fries, and one day when we went, there was a homeless man out front asking for food or money. When the guy asked my dad for money, my dad told the guy to hold on, and that we would return with our change after we order. So we order, my dad gives the guy our $2 change, or whatever, and then we go back inside and get our food. A couple minutes later, the homeless man is inside the store going table to table with a pocket knife, robbing the customers in the store. He robbed like 3 families, and then walked past our table and just nodded his head to my dad. I had my back to the guy during this, so I didn't know about it until after he left the store, but it's still so scary. That $2 saved 7-year-old me a lot of fear. I don't know if intense is the best word for it. Memorably bad is probably more accurate. It was Valentine's Day my sophomore year of high school. I went on a double date to McDonald's because they had a Valentine's Day deal for the nuggets, and I was 15 and hated myself, I guess. Anyway, I was there with a dude I'd been dating for like a week and another couple that we went to school with. My date was a jackass and he kept making super uncomfortable jokes about me and him and the dude in the other relationship, Eiffel Towering, except I didn't know what that meant at the time. So I was just very confused, and the other dude was super uncomfortable and his girlfriend was understandable very angry. So after uncomfortably eating our food, the girlfriend of the other couple decides she's had enough, and so she and her boyfriend essentially abandon us at the McDonald's. Neither my date or I had a car, so we were stranded there. I ended up getting a ride home from one of my date's friends, and I'm like 90% sure he was drunk. One of the most terrifying car rides of my life. I really thought I was about to die on Valentine's Day on my way home from McDonald's. Didn't die though, and ended things with the dude shortly after. Last I saw, he was on trial for raping someone. Bullet fucking dodged. Side note, at the McDonald's, that night there was someone selling mini pigs out of a white van in the parking lot. I'm willing to bet anything they were actually just regular piglets. I walk into the women's restroom, and there's only one stall available. I go to use it. I end up hearing someone else come in and yell, damn it, I need to take a sh*t. I come out and see her with her pants down sitting trying to sit on the wall trash can to pop a squat and do her business. I no longer go to that McDonald's.